Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
The views and opinions of the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning to you. The birds are chirping. Hey now. Good morning to you. The birds are chirping.
You could try and take us, but with the gladiators, everyone reach you, but secretly the savior. Glory and gore go hand in hand. That's why we're making headlines.
The Eye Opener.
And I'ma get it. Oh, I know what I'm doing. Patience and the time, know what I'm doing, baby. Staring at it, I know what I'm doing. Staring at a gladiator, talking about a revolution. No, this is not a game. No, baby. I'm talking turnout.
And welcome to the Eye Opener, your weekly dose of something absolutely fabulistically, supercalifragilistic, espialidociously different. Whatever that means, because I don't know what it means. I finished math years ago. Tate Adderley is joining me again this morning. Tate, how you doing this morning?
I am doing great. The semester is pretty much ending, so I think I finished about 3 courses this week. I have 3 more courses to complete, and so I'm very happy for that. But I'm out of the thick of it. You know, you usually have that crunch time.
I have crunch time.
Yeah,
I got a mark. But oh, Tate. How does it feel to not be in Freeport, man, for this Christmas? I think you were in Freeport last Christmas, eh?
Yeah, I was in Freeport last Christmas. I mean, it's okay.
You ain't care.
I mean, yeah, I don't really care. To be honest.
You ain't checking it out.
Yeah. I mean, I once my family is okay and everybody's doing well, I'm very much so happy for that. But I think I finally understood that I need to be away from there sometime to make a sense of my life and my career.
Makes sense. Listen, I had the weirdest experience this week. I had somebody recognize my voice in the food store.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the strange part about this story. The person says, "Wow, your voice sounds so familiar." And I was like, well, I don't know if that's a good thing. Hopefully not for criminal activity.
Right.
It's like, no, man, I hear you on the radio before. I was like, oh. I was like, I think I heard her voice before. And I was like, oh, yeah. You know, I'd be on Dwight show sometimes, be on the Eye Opener. The guy said, wow, all these years I thought you were white. I was like, wow. Didn't realize I sounded very Caucasian. Whatever that means. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be with you this morning.
Yeah.
On this beautiful, absolutely beautiful Saturday morning. It is nice and sunny. It's a little bit cool out this morning. If you did your morning jog, it should have been a nice little haze, nice little fog inside the air. If you're running on the beach, it should have been nice and wet and cool to the touch of your feet. Coming up on the 9:30 hour, I was getting off,
You sound like Dwight a bit.
I know, right? Yeah, we have had, listen, Tate, this has been a week. I have lost track of the amount of, what's the word I'm looking for? Is foolishness the right word? Boy, popular today. I have lost track of the amount of foolishness I've seen from the situation. Is that even a situation? I think the situation. Well, let me not use the word situation. Let's use the word the thing with the Speaker of the House. Oh man, listen. The bar for Speaker of the House is a very low one these days. Mm-hmm. I don't know what happened. I think it was a bit lowered when. Do we say Speaker and then their last name, like Speaker Moultrie and Speaker this? No, we don't do that in this country, do we?
Just call him, pretty much Miss Speaker or Mr. Speaker. That's what we use.
The Speaker before Halson Moultrie would have been Major, right? I think he was a dentist. I think he probably still is. I'm sure he's doing fine. He had his share of controversy too. I don't think it was the same as Halson Moultrie. No. He didn't seem to have. I'm talking about Major now. Major didn't seem to have caveman views. There were some disagreements about protocol several times in the House during his time in office. But Halson Moultrie was just... I don't like Halson Moultrie's time as Speaker of the House. I don't know the man personally. I met him personally. Don't like him very much, but that's not important. I don't have a personal thing against him. I have a thing against how he conducted the office of Speaker of the House. The bar was set extraordinarily low when he was in office. And it seemed like anything would be better than Halson Moutry,
I agree.
whose first week in office had to make it known that he is not a powder puff man and that he married an indigenous Bahamian woman. And he is, I got to slam my hand on that. He's real man. He wanted you to know that. And his office was leaky and the bathroom was awakened to good. But that was a crisis. And I was like, wow, you should see government places, man. It ain't even the leaky roof no more. It's the mold. Anyway. That's another story. So there was this whole thing about the members of the opposition and they're running with the Speaker of the House. And everybody was saying she cutting an eye at people and talking to them this kind of way. I'm not a fan of her being Speaker of the House. But again, I kind of feel sorry for the opposition fellas because I was like, y'all fellas was a little gangster too. So.
Yeah, so I think, because I watched every session of the House this week, I watched, like for 6 hours plus, right? And members of the opposition, they were kind of weird this week, like very much so childish. People like the member for St. Anne's bringing a whole grocery bag and pulling it out and trying to demonstrate how he's poor and stuff like that. And then you have them laughing in the face of the speaker. So it's like, do we really want to chastise the speaker so much when she has to deal with members that are very much so childish? And so I kind of get where she's coming from, but I think on the whole conduct of the House needs to rise. The maturity level needs to rise. And I always like to say that Alfred Sess is probably the most mature politician that we have.
Oh, I think he was excellent as Speaker of the House. That was a while ago now.
Right.
Sorry, someone says, my quote-unquote white man voice is terrible. Don't do it again. I'm terribly sorry. But as I was saying, yeah, I saw the situation with Adrian Gibson as well. The member for Long Island. I hate saying that.
I can't take him. I can't take that man seriously anymore. I really can't.
I'm going to be honest with you. I view him the same way I view Fitzgerald at this point. You're tainted. You are tainted goods. You are a bag of money that the dye pack has exploded in. And now anywhere you go to spend that money, everybody will see the paint all over that money and say, ooh,
Right.
I know this is stolen goods.
Dirty money, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, right. This from a bank robbery or something. That's how I feel. Whether or not he's actually done anything, I have no idea. Because in this country, and even in the United States, when people in certain positions in office do things, it's not illegal. But when us regular broke people do it,
Right. We
there's
gotta
a
go to
big
jail.
problem.
Yeah.
So on that hand, I was like, I found it so difficult to be sympathetic. Again, on principle, I do see a lot of issues with the way that the current Speaker of the House is operating. I massive glaring red flags. I hate that term now because that's been co-opted, right?
Right.
But no, it's the blinking red. And I know this is going to be an ongoing thing for 5 years, unless, of course, Davis decides to pull a Voldemort and call an early election at some point, which would be tremendously stupid. That's my opinion, because I would be thinking to myself, I need to collect the salary. Anyway, yeah, but that was a thing. I think the part that probably bothers me the most is when I thought about it, have we ever had instances, or how frequent has it been in the past where we've actually recalled or assigned somebody else or appoint someone else to Speaker of the House? I don't recall that being a very normal thing in Bahamian parliamentary politics.
Once government is set up, or once a member of parliament is set, they're setting for the next 5 years, right? And so we don't care. Well, let me say, probably the political class don't really care to recall people. Like, I was having a conversation with a certain number of members from a political party, and we were having a discussion about the MP recall system, and essentially they laughed at that, and I just found it to be very weird. Like, you don't see the sense in MP recall systems, but I get from their standpoint of view or their viewpoint, I mean, they would want to maintain their power at all costs. So to them, a MP recall system would make no sense from the perspective of the political class, in a sense.
No, I gathered that also from Davis's statements. in the past, well, even this year, in reference to the whole situation with term limits. He's not the current administration is not a fan of term limits. Period.
Well, the man is 70. I don't want to see him in for the next 10 years.
He's
I don't.
Joe Biden's running again for president.
I don't want to see that man in the prime minister's seat at 80 years old. I don't want to see him there.
Joe Biden is running again.
And how is he? How old is Joe Biden? 78?
Joe Biden is I think he's the same age. Let me find that out. I think he's the same age as what's the guy's name is again? Who passed away? Who Trump insulted and caused him to lose Arizona? McCain.
Yes,
John McCain. Because John McCain ran against President Obama.
Yes.
At
Yes.
age 77. Yes. So let's see Joe Biden's age, right? It seems like only geriatrics can run countries. Like. Joe Biden is 79, sir.
79.
He will be 82 or 83 when he
he-
comes up for re-election. And he says that he plans on running again. I would not be surprised if our current prime minister runs again. You know why? Because how politics works in this country is they usually have a death grip on the leadership of their party.
That's true.
But
And that particular party operates like a cult in some cases. in a sense.
of course it does.
Yes.
It's hard to find a difference between, people used to crack a joke in the past, to say that when you used to go to University of Wilfrid and they stop being Christians, they become PLPs. And I used to hear a lot of old people say that when I was a child.
Right.
Then I got older, and I was like, you know what? It ain't just a PLP thing, 'Cause some of these happenings, they just be snorting party lines.
Okay.
But anyway,
So I had an interesting experience, right? I went to the convention last week, Saturday, right? To see Michael Pintard went to. It basically covered for a Spectrum Politics, right? And while Pintard was giving his speech, there were actual people crying in the crowd. Like a bunch of people crying in the crowd. I'm like, is politics that serious for you all?
That's
Like,
it
is
is
it
eat.
that seriously?
That's what it is. Eat. I actually don't know the answer to that question. Like literally, because what I gathered from this, I didn't hear his whole entire speech. I heard a part of it that was covered by the press. He sounds very similar. Like I get Christie vibes from him. I don't mean that in a bad way, but how Christie would speak. Christie was a good orator when he actually stuck to the script. When you saw Christie put the script down, it was time to leave.
Yeah, that's time to leave. Yeah,
Because you know what's happening. Taxi driver.
he could run on.
Taxi driver when he was little. They work hard. And I say that in an insulting way. Like we know the story. Stop telling the story.
Right.
But that's what I gathered from Pintard. I don't know. Pintard, the real sad reality of this, if Pintard can actually become prime minister, it doesn't matter. This is not a country where your past truly matters or determines your political future.
Right.
It is a matter of if you can survive for 5 years in opposition, there's a good chance you'll end up in a good position in the next government. If you survive, and that doesn't just mean that 5 years, you also have to survive the next election. You don't. You don't. Because you can lose
Yeah.
and still get a position.
Right.
Fitzgerald. So, as I was saying, anything is possible. But that's a whole other conversation. We've also seen, this week in the news, Tate, the most predictable situation in the Bahamas. Remember what I always say. Politics in this country has nothing to do with leading the country, with any of those things that people think leadership is actually about. It is about control of the treasury, the direction in which contracts flow, and who cuts the deals and gets the kickbacks from said deals. So we got news, I don't call it breaking news. I don't know. Let's call it an information drop in the House as well. You were there about all the contracts. These supposed, I don't want to use the word bogus.
I mean, beach and parks? Or was it something else?
Yeah, no, that's it.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's it. But this is the thing, though. This ain't the first time that happened.
Right.
Because if people remember, under the previous Christie administration, when they lost, the same type of revelations came about. Remember, once upon a time, we supposed to beach and parks was land and parks at one point in time, right? That used to be under Ministry of Works. That was separated under the Christie administration to be its own department, separate thing that someone gets appointed to and overlooks. Here's the thing that I posited even back then. The reason why when we build roads, when we put grass on the side of those roads, in the middle of those medians, like right in front of the sports center, like we put grass in front of in the middle of all the roundabouts, all of the medians across the archipelago, but mainly in New Providence, is because those are jobs, right? You pay somebody $1,500 to $2,000 a month for each stretch of those roads. And when the government changes, the people who get those contracts change. And oftentimes you find that people who get the contracts when government first get into power don't even have the equipment to do the work. Some of the people do because they're legacy supporters or whatever the words you want to look. Some are legitimate companies. Well, most are legitimate companies, but the means in which they get it isn't always legitimate.
Right.
And so it's a political football. So when I saw the news coming out or the information drop in the House about these contracts and the shady nature of them, and then Shannon Cartwright had to defend his legacy, essentially.
Right.
The only thing I could think to myself is, well, yeah. And you know what's going to happen this time around is they're going to not hire the F&M folk, and they're going to hire
The
the
PLP
PLP folk.
Right.
Because this is a gang operation.
You see, that's the problem I have with the whole idea of contracting and government on the whole, right? Because it brings up a lot of problems. But then again, when you talk about contracting, it's meant to make the work of government easier and depend on the private sector to get things done. But at the same time, I'm not a proponent of the umbrella of government itself being so large. So I kind of understand contracting, but then the problem with it is when you get politics in the mix. And then when you get politics in the mix, we have what we have now. PLPs, robbing the treasury, F&M's robbing the treasury, and so
They don't rob it, Tate. You have to understand how this works. What they do is they redirect it. Like we had the funds we're supposed to build for the Rand Memorial Hospital. That's going to happen next fiscal year.
right.
Listen, I know. I'm very doubtful that that's because it's Freeport, and if there's one thing that don't get no love in this country is Freeport.
Right.
Freeport is get treated like Freeport is treated like oh Lord, it's a terrible joke. Let me rephrase it. I'll be politically correct. Freeport is treated like an immigrant in the detention center. Sometimes they get out fine.
Right.
Sometimes they get beaten. Sometimes God knows what happens to them. Sometimes they get lost in the system and nothing comes about. That is my perception. Should it be that way? No. But I also think we should get rid of the port. But that's a whole other conversation altogether. No, I'm not. And they were supposed to be moving the what's the thing called again?
What is that?
The post office.
My
Well, you know what's happening, right? Because you have to get rid of the post office being under the Brent man.
right.
The red man. Let's call him the red man and the gold man. Or the red woman, gold woman.
and so now it's gonna go into gold hands.
Yeah, it's gold. It's the gold time. It's the
yeah.
gold time. Goalkeepers. You know what I'm saying? That's what's going to happen with that. And then you're going to see within 5 years we're going to be right back. I probably might be on. I might not be on this show, but then who knows? If I still live, who knows? Someone's going to be on air somewhere in this country talking about the same thing 5 years from now, and they're going to say, "Oh, this contract they gave to where they put the new post office now. They got this PLP fella. Got to move him, man.
Yeah,
got
gotta
to get rid of it." And then the next sad reality is if we go and we construct a new building for the post office, which our post service in this country is absolute and utter trash, and I think that's by design, you're then going to find a situation that's going to end up probably like the Ministry of National Security building under construction for 12 years. And then promptly when it's finished, it'll be struck with mold.
That's the one with on JFK, right?
Yes. That was under construction from Ingram time. From Ingram. Thank you, sir. I remember they broke ground for the building. I remember hearing the stories from persons who was close to the situation from Ministry of Works, saying they built the building 10 feet off of the spot it's actually supposed to be built on the property. Just like the stadium, the baseball stadium we have, where they build it in the wrong direction, and then the sun is just shining right in your eye. Yeah, man. But you know what that is, Tate? That's intelligence. That's when you make sure, just like, let me stop getting off. You ain't surprised, right?
I'm not surprised, but I'm also disappointed because time and time again we are reminded every 5 years, election comes, we're reminded of what government is. It's inefficient and ineffective, right? And I was baffled by Mr. Mitchell's comments about the public service this week, and he was talking about how, when he was last time in the public service, or Minister of Public Service, that is, he's still finding that the problems that he faced or he saw in the past are still the problems now.
Boy, my grandmother, God rest her soul, died at the age of 77. I was 16 when she passed. When I was like 6 and 7, she would tell me about the Bahamas in the 60s, in the 70s, how life was, even in the 80s, and how different, well, not even really different. She just talked about her experience. You know what I find fascinating? Every single thing she told me about that was good, things that were bad, and that were in between are exactly the same today. I've met Bahamians who've left this country in the 70s, people who left the country, a family who left the country in the late 80s. I know other Bahamians who've left the country in the 90s. And they talk to me, even some will leave in the early 2000s, and they talk to me about how the Bahamas was when they were here. And I talk to them about the challenges that I face, even have to interact with these systems and working within them. And they all say the same thing, my God.
Still the same.
It was the same way when I was your age. It was the same way when I was half your age. So here's the next problem. What are they going to do to change that situation? I'm going to give you a hint. Nothing. Here's the easy points you can do, right? And it's one of the things that's going to cost jobs, but that's just too bad. Automate. That process has already been started with My Gateway. I'm very happy about that platform. I advise all. I'm not getting paid to say this. I'm just saying because I'd like a better Bahamas. If you are listening and you have health insurance or you don't have health insurance, please sign up for national health insurance. Just go on NHI.com. Just Google it. NHI Bahamas. Just fill it out. Just sign up for the situation. Do all the email address, your password, and all that kind of stuff. Register if you have a doctor that you like. That doctor may be on that list. Hopefully they're not full. But if they're on the list, you can select that doctor or your next best choice. Think you have 3 choices. You have your first choice, second choice, third choice. If you can't get either one, you can get the other one. And they cover the cost of 1 checkup a year and lab and blood work. So you get your SCD screenings. You can get your blood work so you can check your cholesterol, all that good stuff. Any other screenings you want to do for the most part. I think there are 2 or 3 labs now covered on the NHI. No, I'm not getting paid to say this. I'm just saying as a public health announcement, right? Please take advantage of it. Do not be a fool. Even if you have health insurance or you don't, it doesn't matter. Register today, please. Right. It'd be great if I could I'm going to reach out to them again and see if I can come back on the show because some things have changed with NHI. Second thing, My Gateway. This is not a public service announcement. You can register basically everything your government service is so long as you don't have to renew a passport that is not an e-passport. I'm going to warn you, if you have a passport that is not an e-passport, your life is going to suck. Because you got to bring your birth certificate, your mommy birth certificate, their birth certificate, then you got to bring your land. I'm kidding. But I'm serious about those things. In some cases, they ask for your BGCSE and BJC results from the Ministry of Education. I know Bahamians who took those exams in the 1980s, right? And their parents born in the 30s and 20s. Or whatever the situation is. So it's like all kind of wonky, fadoodly situations up in there. But yeah, if everything else, even your driver's license, your police record thingy, your character reference thing, all those things are done through the portal. A lot of government services now, like the police report thing, you cannot access physically anymore. You can't just walk into the place and say, I want my police report. Your police records. You have to actually go on the website, pay online as well. So you don't have to interact with humans and stink attitudes. You do all this virtually. You go in, show your receipt with your identification,
Right.
Get your documents, leave. Just throwing that out there. I wish more and more government services, I hope, continue along this trend. We should not have to physically go to the traffic department of the police station anymore. I'm looking forward to that day when that happens. And the police shouldn't be writing out physical handwritten reports in the road. They should have a tablet. They should be able to. Sure, they can handwrite stuff, but most of these stuff needs to be entered into a computer system, not a bloody filing cabinet that gets lost. And it needs to be more rigority, whatever the word is. So when you get in a car accident, and if somebody brethren is the police, that don't mean your case basically over because you in the wrong, even though that person in the wrong because they brethren is the police. That has happened to people I've known because a sweetheart was a police officer
I've heard personal stories in Freeport.
in Freeport.
People dying in a car accident and they cover it up.
I thought that was just in Nassau.
Nope, in Freeport too. It's a very specific case, and the father, since the mother has died, since his wife has died, has not stopped talking about the issue, and it still hasn't got the real press or real resolving of
So
the issue.
you have his contact information. We got to talk about this
I have his contact information.
because in this country, you quite literally can. Let me not use that word. You can kill somebody in a car and say that it was an accident, or I lost control, or I was drunk. This has happened on record, and there's a good chance you'll be fined $10,000, and you have to pay like $3,000 or $4,000 up front, but you'll walk free. $10,000 for killing someone
Sending someone, yeah.
in your car. That's ridiculous, and that's happened not once, not twice, but about 5 or 6 times in the last 4 years.
Do you remember the case?
The Defense Force.
Not the
Because it was
defense-
2 of those.
It was,
one was
it
a
was-
woman.
it was a couple
One was a
of-
man.
There was a case, I think it was last year Christmas, where this man was driving and he tried to overtake a family and just killed the whole family. Not the whole
Yes,
family.
that happened like 3 times in the last 2 years. Yes, where they killed the daughter, right?
Yeah, yes. Oh my God.
No, they killed the parents. The
Yeah,
daughter
parents, the daughter
survived.
survived, yeah. Well, what happened to that case? Did the perpetrator go to jail?
I wish I had followed up on it.
Because for a long amount of time, it was like the name of the person or the identity of the person was not being released to the public. And I just found that to be very weird. And then like a couple months later, a couple weeks later, we finally got the name of the person of who committed the crime.
I think it was, I saw a video of the scene, not of the persons in the car or anything. I saw a video of like the aftermath of the person walking around the car. They didn't show any bodies, thankfully, or anybody being hurt. I mean, people had passed, but they didn't show that in the video. But no, this has happened, and someone says that I should say that this is alleged. Tate with the thing. I mean, I don't know if the police covered it up. I don't know. I don't want to say that. It just nothing came of the situation. We actually had a situation too with somebody who I knew from the premier tertiary institution of the country. One of their family members just went missing. He was arrested at one point in time and then just never heard from him ever again. I don't know what happened. And I remember that whole campaign about it, and then the pandemic struck, and then things just got more complicated.
Hold on.
He was arrested.
He went missing, right?
Yes.
There used to be posters of him on the A block.
Yes.
And yes.
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 To this day, the
can't
family
find
has no idea where he is. There's no court records of him ever going to court. There's no arraignment or anything. To their knowledge, no charges were ever brought up. You just don't know where he is.
So that's
No record of ever being released either.
That's like the situation this week. What happened? Whereas I think supposedly the man was in jail. He was supposed to go to Sandilands, and then his mother just ends up finding out that his son died from blunt force trauma.
Yeah, these things happen, man. But here's my solution to this problem. I do believe computerization of everything, having a digital footprint and record of everything that we do, not only covers the people who have to go in and participate in the system, but also it protects those as well who work within it. So if for instance, oh Lord, we both know this thing happened, but for instance, right, let's say the police have to write up a police report for an incident that happened, whatever the incident is. If all that's already computerized, or they write up a ticket for you, for instance, because if you didn't know, if you get a ticket in this country, you should probably keep that receipt in your car until Jesus come back. Because you could pay the ticket off,
Right.
and you have your receipt, but if you don't have the receipt in the car and you get pulled over and the police run your tags, we don't do that in this country. We don't say that. They run your license plate and run your driver's license number.
Yeah.
And it shows up that you got a ticket, there's a very good chance it's going to say that you owe money. And it's not going to reflect that you already paid. So you're going to get a charge for that. Because you drive in and you know you got a ticket, you ain't pay a ticket. Oh, yeah. You have people who had warrants out for their arrest, and they had already paid a ticket off 3 years prior. So here's why what I'm announcing, right? I
And
think
this is why I dislike the police so much, and I try to not interact with them.
But this is also, yes, this is why I think computerization would help a lot. Because if they could write up a ticket digitally, we can digitally pay for a ticket. So, for instance, if I get a $200 ticket, which is a good bit of change, I should be able to pay that off online, print off my receipt, which has a QR code, and that's it. End of story about the situation. And then the police system should automatically update. So if I ever get pulled over ever again, they can just check and say, oh, he paid such and such a date by whatever method, or don't have to say method, just say paid. And that's it.
And I think this is so easy, right? And so I remember, if we look back at the whole vaccination program and how fast
That was excellent.
computerized that is so simple to do.
Set up an appointment.
Exactly.
Call it a day.
That is so simple to do. So it's like saying that it will be difficult. It's stupid to say, in my opinion. But we got some text.
Oh, go ahead.
These texted in just like you can at 422-4796. And this first texter said, run again. Oh, so they said, sorry. Way to go, White Dawn. You don't mean this. They say, you don't mean the speaker who doesn't like the blackies? What a time.
Because we heating up the place.
Right.
Gotta have some nice looking bright skins up in ya.
And they also said, run again, child, please. They better fix that track then. I just renewed my license yesterday. And then the last person said, don't forget you can leave the scene and go home and go to sleep, even though that's a crime in itself.
Oh my God, that happens so many times. Bro, the case with one of the Defense Force Marines, they left the scene of the crime after colliding with the car and killing 2 people. And they came back when someone chased them down who saw it happen. And they came back to the scene and they waited on the police. What the hell? They also got fined and then they just walked away from the situation. I think you should serve. Then they said the car wasn't operating, at least according to the story that's also in public record. The car wasn't operating properly. I don't see your car isn't operating properly and you are going fast enough to collide with another car and kill the occupants of that car. That sounds like a car of working. Maybe they tried to insinuate the brakes wasn't working. I don't know, but it didn't say that in the story. It just said the car wasn't operating properly, and it was quoted as being something that the police said about the situation in the report. Oh my God! And yes, these things do happen. I think, and this is why I disagree with the former commissioner of police, and it seems like the current commissioner of police got plenty to say on Twitter. But this is why I disagree with the former one who made those announcements that when police body cams come into place, the footage would never be made public, never be made available to the public.
So what's the purpose of that? Just for the people in charge to see?
It's because the police need to investigate themselves and find no wrongdoing.
That's like, okay, so the Minister of National Security, Wayne Monroe, made some interesting comments about the sex offenders registry. Although I am concerned about the effectiveness of it, he said that the register won't be made public, right?
But there already is a register. No, it isn't a public one, true, but there is currently, and has been for some time, an actual registry that the police have access to. So I don't understand why is this a conversation? And listen, I want a registry. All right. But I understand the data shows that registries actually don't solve anything.
Right.
They don't actually decrease the amount of violent sexual offenses or heinous crimes against children or women. My reasoning for wanting it is different, though, because Nassau has a culture. And I dare say, I think if some of these things were made public, people ain't going to do certain things simply because it's kind of like, let me put it in more politically correct terms. You ain't gonna go and hog know to rub their skin. You ain't gonna do certain things in certain places if people know you there in the first place because you know there'll be very quick repercussions. Like we've had situations in the past where somebody do something to somebody and then they end up being deceased.
Right.
And then it's just a cycle of deceasedness. I don't know. Right? I'm just saying. I do think if we do have a public registry, it will lead to more homicides.
Very much so. I agree.
I don't know if that'll be a deterrent. Street justice.
I don't know.
I don't know.
think
It's
so.
hard for me to say. because we have had a lot of instances in the past where the court system was unable to deal with certain persons, and then announcements would be made to certain individuals that certain people were getting off on bail on a certain date and time.
And then they end up dead.
Within 12 hours, they're dead.
Yeah.
Shot to death in the backseat of a car in their house, front of their house, getting into their car or out of their car in front of their house, or in many cases, they didn't go home because they knew and still got killed. So I don't know, right? Our system here is very questionable. A lot of things need to change. This is why I keep talking about the last show we had, is that we need to really address the situation of the criminal justice system in regards to laws. But then everybody always says the same thing, right? Like the enforcement. I don't think the enforcement is 100% the problem. You shouldn't be able to be drunk or under the influence of some substance, which the police can't even test you for, right? Like they don't know. No, sir.
They have, what have we done? They don't have breathalyzers.
We have breathalyzers for a season. If we have breathalyzers, they'll last 3-4 months. That's how long you see them, and then they disappear after that. I have seen people drunk drive. You could tell it because they all over the road, throwing bottles and things. They boice up. Boice up. I haven't seen that since the pandemic started.
This is why I don't go out on Saturday and Friday nights sometimes.
Oh, bro, listen. True story. Coming home, this has been 2018, right? Right before, just before the pandemic, obviously. Right. This was about 3 o'clock in the morning. I came from a party, and I was tired, so I was driving slow. Just about every single person that was behind me, going in the opposite direction as me, I was coming down from the airport road, going on the Chemical Road.
Shoot,
so this is the long way to get out to Michael.
Right,
bro,
right.
Almost everybody that passed me was swerving over the road, didn't have their lights on, or was turning their lights on after I flicker my high beam so that they caught on that their lights wasn't on. Someone literally crashed into a lamp pole in front of me when I was driving home one night. And you know what I did? I saw it was like 2 cars that was behind them. That looked like they were all like racing or something like that. I was like, no, I ain't stopping.
Yeah.
Y'all ain't gonna rob me.
No.
I think I did call. I made a call and say like, hey, someone crashed, and they was just like, are you at the scene? I was like, no, I'm not. And they wanted my name and everything, and I said, no, I won't be doing that.
No.
You
Just go there and see.
Go and that's another thing I hate. You know, the whole thing about I must give my name and address after I make a report. I ain't doing that. No. Next thing I ain't doing. The situation with jury duty. Listen. Oh my God. Why are you putting my name in it? Like, we still doing this. in 2000.
I think it just came out a few weeks ago, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Freeze, I'm supposed to say that thing. Because I look on it. Anyway, some people I know got called, so we'll see. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
You know what I think I should do, too? Is, like, since the voter registry is, like, permanent, is when I change my address, don't have update nothing.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I don't think I vote no more anyway.
Yeah,
but I'm not changing anything. So when they go to say like this mile live at this location, yeah, technically I do live there. I'm back and forth between places. No, I think we need to change the system and get rid of it. If if that information should be available to law enforcement or whoever is responsible as law enforcement, right, to ensure that these lists are created and that you can find people. Sure, fine. Just stop publishing the damn thing, man. I knew of 3 cases. Can't be specific because I get nobody in problems. These were a few years back. One was a murder trial. One was a case of armed robbery. Someone had I can't be specific. They had burglary. No, it wasn't a burglary. It was an armed robbery, in daylight armed robbery at a very, very, very popular jewelry store. It was a smash and grab situation, and in both of those instances, the person or the people, let's say that, who were called to jury duty happened to live in the same neighborhood as some of the people involved in the crime. And their concern was that of their safety. And they raised these concerns when they were doing a jury selection, and they still got selected to be in the situation. You know what happened when they got out? People approached them about the situation. And you was on that jury? Man, that was you. They did all kind of denial. Luckily, I think in their cases, nothing can happen. I have heard of cases of persons finding harm come to them. You know, witness protection in this country, you know.
No.
It's like, it is a gangster operation. So I think some things need to change. Stop doing that. First of all, leave those things to be private. I don't know. Wayne Monroe in charge now. Someone, please, if y'all close to Wayne Monroe, tap him on his shoulder, give him a nudge, say, please, dear God, do something, change the law. Stop doing this.
I think in this few weeks as the Minister of National Security, I got the sense that he wanted to do things very differently, right? But yesterday, I was sort of disappointed, and I mean not to take any bread out of anyone's mouth, but sort of disappointed at the announcement that shock treatment was coming back.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, shock treatment.
And we look at the data on Beyond Scared Straight, right? And I'm pretty sure that show was based on Beyond Scared Straight, which happened in America. The program doesn't work. It doesn't rehabilitate young people that are going towards a life of crime. But there's one thing I did see that Carlos Reed mentioned, and that they were trying to, in a sense, change the program a bit and add some new things to it. But I'm interested to see how that will turn out in this instance. But the name itself still suggests that they're still going to be doing the same old things that they did.
Well, the Defense Force and
Yeah.
police. Okay, yeah.
Because the Defense Force was present at the press conference as well. So, what are they doing now if you tend to change the program? And they were the problem in the program in the first place to me.
I remember, now that you bring it, I remember it was Christie's first term in office as Prime Minister. It was 2002 to 2007. And he had a program with Mother Pratt. All right? The Deputy Prime Minister, Cynthia Mother Pratt. I think it was him and Christie had a program. It was called the Fresh Start Program. My mother was a teacher, and I got a front row seat of seeing what this program was about. So what it was at-risk young men. I didn't even say at-risk. Some of them had records for violent crimes. I don't think anybody was in there with armed robbery or a murder case, but a different it would have been a situation of fight, assault, battery, maybe a robbery or something, but nothing with it involving nothing that would. What I'm trying to say is they don't even tame crimes. They're violent individuals, sure,
Right.
but they're not beyond redemption. So the Fresh Start program started to give them skills. So in this case, when I was teaching computer class, they were learning computer skills. I didn't realize that a lot of these guys, they were like 18, 19, 20, did not know how to use a computer. So I was in the class too, also teaching them. I think I was about 11, 12 at the time, teaching these guys how to use computer, how to use Microsoft Word, how to do all these things. And I realized, the real problem is, sure, their environments are horrid. Their parents are absolutely atrocious from some of the stories these fellas would tell. They don't really have parents. Their parents are basically just bodies who occupy a space.
Right.
Most of them, they don't live with their parents. The parents shipped them off to the grandparents. The grandparents are old. All sorts of funky things be going on in these households.
Right.
And it's usually family members abusing them too. Dysfunctional atmospheres, and as a result of it, the streets has grown them up. But the problem in those guys is the case. Some of them wanted to get out of that life, but they couldn't because they ain't got no skills, they ain't got no education, they don't have no trade, and they trying to get them things. But anytime they try to get those things, everybody puts up roadblocks. I don't want you around me. You violent. I don't want. So what you then do is you're horseshoed and railroaded back into this life of crime.
Right.
Now, my whole thing on this is, right, if they're doing something where they're giving these guys skills, because you'll find a lot of these guys in school, they failing. Straight true. These guys need skills. They need assistance, not just in terms of we can teach you how to do all these things and then send you back home. You need to intervene in their home life situation, because sometimes you have family members, the father, the mother, the uncle, somebody abusing them, sexually or not. Even if it's physical abuse, you find that the parents aren't there because the parents got to wake 4 and 5 jobs because they ain't got no skills either, and they come from a low education environment. It is compounded, because otherwise, just like with the situation with Scared Straight, you slap a Band-Aid on someone with a bullet wound who just got diagnosed with AIDS in the 1980s, right? They're gonna die. And especially if they're black, because they ain't get no access to medication, especially in the 1980s, right? So that's my position on it. Now, is the show gonna go in that direction? To your knowledge?
Well, I will say that Reed did mention, Carlos Reed, who was one of the, I guess, probably producers of the show, he did mention that they were changing some things. But he did give specifics, but at the time, at the moment, I don't remember the complete or quite specifics on that. But it seems as though that they were adding some more things that seemed rehabilitative, like therapy and stuff like that. So
Good.
yeah.
Good. I think therapy is absolutely essential. I think I heard they were doing something with the parents as well, which I think is absolutely essential as well.
But I think the show doesn't need to be televised, in my opinion.
I don't think certain aspects of it
Yeah.
needs to be. I think things like the conflict resolution, because I saw something about that. If they have a
He did say
seminar, on
that,
it,
he did say
I
that,
think
yeah, he
that
did
should
say
be
that, yeah.
televised.
Right.
I think we should have counseling sessions like we do in college. We should do the same thing in high schools, explaining conflict resolution. Because I knew when I was in high school, the way that we resolve conflict is to get voice in your head. I know that sounds very funny, but like I'd be dead serious. Like if you had a problem with somebody, you all have to fight. And if you all don't fight, you're a punk.
Yeah.
Like you're a punk, no one can ever respect you. So you gotta like essentially throw your life away to prove you's big man, which is very silly. Again, that aside though, I hope it doesn't go back to the way the show was done in the past, which is just the funny clips that we pull over Facebook and Instagram.
Do you want to buy Coke?
You guys dying, I'm super pausing.
I know it is an outlet.
Oh my god. Yeah, I hope that doesn't work out that way. Again, let's see. I saw Andrew Burrows is also there as well. He's the director of the show, I believe.
I don't know.
I'm sure he has some idea. I saw he wrote up a post this morning in reference to it because it seems like a lot of people had opinions on this man and they were upset. So it was 50-50. Some people thought it was a great thing. Some people were like, you need to beat them on TV. And I was like, no, you shouldn't do that. Shouldn't be putting your hands on people. And it kind of reminded me of something, about that whole thing where and it happened when I was in high school too. When kids fail in high school, why their parents just beat them. It was two people actually. A young lady and I was a young man at the time. They had failed. They were on academic probation. And listen, I went on probation twice myself. They were on academic probation.
This was in high school?
High school.
Okay.
Never in college.
Okay.
College I did stunningly well, right? I made it to the president's list and all, right? Anyway, they got beaten in the parking lot. Literally, it was a young lady. Her father came in the parking lot, took off his belt, raised up her dress, and beat her in the parking lot. And it was hell embarrassing for her. All of us felt like, bro, this is ridiculous. The dude, his dad punched him in the mouth and take off his belt and beat him, whip him in the yard too. And the thing about it, what I just didn't understand, I'm not gonna be any more specific than that. Though this was more than a decade ago, it changed nothing.
Yeah.
Because the dude still flunked out of school and ended up going to another school. I guess someone intervened in his family and put him in a better institution because he had a learning disability. He was dyslexic and he had ADHD.
Hold on. You beat your child. You punch your child in the mouth, but they have a learning disability.
Yeah, he didn't care. He was just like, "Why you fail? I pay all this money for you to go to QC." Blah, blah. Oh, but it's too specific. Whatever. Doesn't matter. But I'm just saying, it happened. It happened in private schools. It happened in government schools too. But people have learning disabilities. People have issues. And I don't mean this means that they're bad people or not intelligent. No. It just means special due care and attention should be paid to so they can be functional members of society.
Correct.
Because some of these people go off to be very successful in careers and make a good bit of money, have a family themselves, and be functional members of society. But you can't respond to that with violence. And you know what that then breeds is you then create a culture of we solve problems with violence. Mm-hmm. And that's why you see the Bahamas looking the way that it does today. Because every time we have an issue, I gotta boys this by head off. Or oh Lord, the most infamous one. Gender-based violence. We talked about this last time. We had the Fed guys from org, right? There were 2 videos that went around on WhatsApp of 2 different instances of women stabbing their. I don't know what there was in a situationship. They was just juicing. I don't know what the situation was. I don't know, but in both instances, there was an altercation where they got into a heated verbal argument. The man, in both instances, said, come from around me, I want no problems, blah, blah, blah. both instances, the women pulled out knives and stabbed them. And I just, I don't know what to say. And I looked at the comment section. It was a 30% sensible people saying this is violence and that this needs to be stopped. No one's put their pounds on anybody. 70%.
Check him up. He deserved that. What do you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was all accusations. It seems the people who were close to the situation in the comment section, something with infidelity. But then I said, like, we had instances recently in this country too where men did things to women because of supposed infidelity. Because we don't know. I wasn't there. I was in a situation of infidelity. If someone cheat on you, your immediate response shouldn't be violence.
Right.
Do not throw your life away on a garbage human being. If they cheat, walk. And I just saying, because it don't make no sense to catch a case. Right? I get it. It's a very emotionally distraught situation.
It's a very emotionally distraught situation. I will say that.
Yeah. And this in Tennessee, this in what the next state name is again? Texas. Where you can walk in on somebody
Just shoot
in
them.
bed with your wife or your husband. You legally in those states can go in another room, retrieve a weapon, and kill both of them and walk. Yes. You know what it's
Jesus.
called? It's not called Make My Day. It's I forgot, not the castle law either. I forgot. It's the name for the law. I think about 3 or 4 states in the United States have it, where you could, if someone is cheating on you, you walk into the situation. Anyway, I don't think we should legalize that in the Bahamas at all, because the rate of homicides will skyrocket. But still, it's ingrained, Tate. It's ingrained. We have a text.
Yeah, just text it in just like you can at 422-GR96. That is 422-4796. And I think this is a good question because I want to know what came of the situation. But they asked, did the woman on the stairs in the video ever get charged? Remember that?
That's
pink
one of the
house?
videos
Yeah,
I saw. It was a
videos,
pink.
yeah.
I know exactly what the building is too.
I don't think
to
we
my
ever-
knowledge,
we ever
no.
heard of
I
that.
didn't see any
Yeah.
press release from the situation. I saw a lot of people saying that the dude needs to file charges. Someone commented on one of the shared links of it, who seemed to know the guy, said no, he ain't pressing any charges because he ain't no punk or something like that. And I was just like, this woman tried to murder
Yeah.
him. What do I don't know what to say, Tate. All right, I don't know what to say.
See, that's when we define masculinity in a certain way, right? When we define it opposite from the feminine, right?
By charging you, by voicing you with the law.
And when we define masculine in that identity, then we have people doing really stupid things, right? A gal stab you and you and press charges because you don't want to be a punk. Like, what?
Again,
sense
we
does
don't
that
know if
make?
that's the case.
Well, okay, fair enough.
But that's what people were saying was the case. Who say that they know the people. I don't know if that's true because people say all kind of things on the internet. We don't know. I don't even know if she ever got charged, right? But I think how the system works here is like if someone does something to you, you have to be the person who wants to file charges.
That
and
is
you,
true.
And you
That is
also
true,
could
right.
withdraw the charges because we've had. All right, you gotta drive around the issue. We've had someone in the past that's held political office had a charges of rape. Well, sorry, unlawful sexual intercourse brought up against them. Some things happened. The charges got dropped because the person involved decided that she wanted to no longer pursue the case, and that was the end of it. Now, the problem with that kind of system is you can intimidate people. I'm not saying that's what happened in this case. I don't know what happened in this case, but I'm just saying, based on how this is set up, you could do that if you're powerful enough, right? Because still, to this day, the Peter Nygaard situation, allegedly, this is what they allege in some of those the court documents and stuff, that they did try to file and make complaints about things, and then the police refused to listen. I don't know if that's true or not. Again, I wasn't there. I don't have any evidence. This is just going off of what was said. So let's say it's alleged, or they are alleging that this had happened. That's not a good system at all. It should be a system where if something is done to somebody and there's video evidence of that being done, the state should be able to step in and say, no, we're not going to just simply charge you because this person wants to charge you. You are a threat to society. You are a problem, and you need to be dealt with. Because if not, you have people who could operate with impunity, which already happens in this country, especially people who get involved with a lot of little children and at high levels of power. Oh, it happens. And they do things to influence people allegedly to ensure the charges aren't brought up. And this is a massive problem they also have in China. But that's a whole other conversation for another day. I'm just saying.
We got some text in, and these taxes texted in just like you can at 422-096. That is 422-4796. And this person says, Dawn, what kills me is that there was no public outcry about those things where women attacked or stabbed men. But anytime any man do anything to a woman on a video or not is big news everywhere. Hate this place. Another person also says, and I agree with this totally, is that fighting shows weakness. To abstain and walk away takes strength. I think that's a fair point.
I think in a normal society, yes, absolutely. In our country, Texter, I'm not sure, man. I agree with you. I side with you. That's what I believe as well. It takes a lot of self-control to not put your hands on somebody. And I'm going to say this, even when they deserve it, right? Takes a lot of self. And I say this simply because it is better to walk away than to catch a case. Now, if your life is in danger, and I know of a case of this too, where a former friend of mine got into an altercation with a young lady who then presented a deadly weapon at him. He didn't fight back. He didn't. Eventually, we had somebody who was there had to pull him out of the situation because it was like. And then we talked to him about it afterwards, and his response was, "But I can't hit gals." But I was like, "All right, bro. Bear in mind, again, you're not the aggressor here. She was trying to stab you with a knife, which can end your life." Listen, that might get boys up for this, but I can say it. If you present a deadly weapon at somebody and you attack or come to attack somebody, you have the intent to attack somebody with a deadly weapon, which can fatally wound somebody, I think all bets are off. Again, I say this before, like for instance, these fellas who's getting to shoot us with the police. I listen, I don't feel sorry for you. If you going at the police or anybody for that matter with a deadly weapon, like you shooting back at police and then your family coming afterwards and saying they had to kill him. Yes, they had to kill him. Because that's stupid.
Yeah,
Why are you doing that?
I would not shoot at the police. I would not.
And you know how police is carry on.
Yeah.
Even the ones in the States, you know what they do? They do double tap. You know what double tap is, Tate?
Pop.
No.
Make sure they're dead.
Two in the head.
Yeah,
That's,
make sure they did,
I ain't
yeah.
saying that's what has always happened, but I just saying I would test the theory. Use a zombie as far as they're concerned. Only one way to kill a zombie. All right, so I just saying, don't shoot at the police, right? Don't shoot at Jesus, man. I feel like this elementary type stuff. I'm just saying, nobody should be putting down anybody. If you come and you threaten somebody, if I were in a situation, I sound like a typical baby now, right? But if that was me. But let me tell you something, but if that was no. But I just saying, if I were in a situation, I'm going to do everything I can to defend myself. You are not killing me that easily. If I can help it, I'm going to do something. And if running away is a part of that solution, I'm going to run away. But if I'm in a situation where it's either I got to fight or die, I can fight.
Use considerable force.
I can use equal force. So if it's deadly force being used against me, then it is what it is.
That's his text who said, I know, Don, the second you come at me with a deadly weapon, I try
you.
to end you before you end me.
Thank you. Because my life not, and see in the Bahamas that don't work, right? Because we don't really have self-defense. And our law is so archaic.
1924, the penal code, eh?
They got to be in the bedroom.
Yeah.
And then they got to cross the threshold of the bedroom. You can't shoot them in the back. Well, in some certain states in the United States, you also can't shoot people in the back. Because if they're showing that they're running away. But then that's complicated, right? Because then you can also argue they were running to get a deadly weapon. But you got to wait till they get in the
produce the
position.
weapon. Yeah,
Yes.
right,
to shoot them first. So otherwise, you're gambling with your freedom. In the Bahamas, I do believe self-defense laws should change. I think we should have a law of not on your property in terms of the boundaries of wherever your land begins. I think if someone crossed the threshold of your door, or they are in the within the walls of your home, and they break in, they need to die. Oh, I shouldn't say that. Sorry. No, they. If it's home invasion, yeah, I think they should be canceled.
I think that's a fair point.
That's where cancel culture should come in. They they need to disappear. I don't feel sorry for you either if you're doing that. But I digress. Back on the thing about the domestic violence dispute. I'm cautious around saying that there was no outrage, Tate. There wasn't as much outrage that is factual.
I think when we get into the conversation about
Because it ain't a man versus woman thing.
Yeah, you always get into like,
But it is a
what
double
aboutism,
standard.
Yeah, what about this? What about man? Yeah, I'm not into that.
But the text was right.
Yeah.
There is a double standard there. If the shoe was on the other foot, if the gender roles were changed, this would be on national news. I don't know, man. Nobody should be putting hands with nobody.
This person just said, Dawn, if a girl pulls a knife on you and if you even slap her, when the police comes, please believe you are getting locked up and possibly beat. Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know someone that happened to.
Jesus.
No, texter. Man, I wouldn't say you're right, but Jesus, man. Some things need to change. Self-defense, I think we need to have a national discussion about that.
You see, but my main problem, and when I was looking at the debates around the budget, the supplementary budget, and the VAT, it really takes a week for these guys to pass like one or two laws.
Yeah.
They waste so much time in the house.
But they got to talk. Listen, I don't think they should rush all the laws, but, I think
It takes some time. It takes some time, but I think you can only do a certain amount of things in a certain amount of time. I understand that.
Yeah.
Right? But my main issue is like what they're making their focus on. Like the things they legislate about rarely affects Bahamas at all, except outside of fiscal bounds. So when it comes to
But that's
like,
most things that happen in the House of Assembly, though. They rarely ever legislate on behalf of people.
people, yeah.
Oh, let me not. That's not true. I misspoke there. Let me rephrase that. They rarely ever legislate on behalf of broke people.
No.
I can't use the other word I want to use because that's not very radio friendly.
Right.
But people like me and you, the swine of the country, the regular broke people who's wandering around the place, heating up the place.
Right.
No, it ain't for us.
No.
Just like the commercial enterprise.
Oh, of course.
Or most laws that they put in place. The penal code should be adjusted, I think, in several ways. I saw, again, it came up this week. I don't know if it was as prominent, but I saw it again. The situation with marital rape. All these, we're bringing up all these things, folks, because they're all tied together, All this is violence, whether it's sexual violence or physical violence. It's the attitudes towards it, depending on who the offending party is, seems to change. And it's something that I'm always not perplexed by. Something that always pissed me off about this place. That it doesn't need to be this way. We don't, it's just like when people say the Bahamas don't need to be in all this debt. We don't need to be this broke. We don't need to be this backwards.
Yeah.
We really don't need to be this backwards. Marital rape is such a low-hanging fruit. You want to know why? I don't know if it was added in 1991, 1992 when the penal code changed. But that's when this thing came to be, supposedly, when I read up on the law on it. And it's literally just a section in there that has
You just have to change it, that's all.
just take out the
Just take
exemption.
the clause, yeah.
That's it. Why is that so rocket sciencey? I think even in 2009, Loretta
Yeah,
Butler
2009,
Turner,
yeah,
she
that-
brought up table legislation about amending this. And yes, I got shot down. That's when all of Miles Monroe and the religious folks got on board and said this could destroy the very fabric of marriage. No, we know what destroys the fabric of marriage. Usually it's finances and violence and infidelity, which is technically violence against your partner anyway.
Correct.
Those issues are prevalent in this country. A lot of people have financial issues out of their control. People have promiscuity issues, which is, I don't know, some people, I guess, is out of their control. They just have addictions or mental imbalances or, I don't know. Not a doctor in that regard, but I'm just saying. I don't think this should be debatable. I do think we need to have a public awareness campaign on this again. But it's like, how much more? All right, here's what I'm getting. Why I'm saying all this. I don't think legislators need to be slapping up about this anymore.
Fair enough.
I think if you're going to do something about it, shut up.
And
Have
do
a
something
public
about it,
campaign about it. Change the law. That's it. If not, don't talk about it. Just say outright, I ain't changing it. Move on. I don't. This whole grandstanding, this person taking a stance, and let's find out what the men think in the House of Assembly. What Glenna said. That doesn't matter anymore. We don't. It's not changing anything. Y'all literally have the power by the stroke of a pen to change the situation. That's it. So just have your public awareness campaign. Have some ads on Guardian. Go into some of the schools. Have a not a conference. What do they call it again? Have a lecture at the University of the Bahamas. Have some stuff within the schools, and then move forward.
So I think my biggest problem, and exactly, it's perfect now to do this, right? And so when we talk about public awareness campaigns, right? My fear is what's going to happen with the vaccination campaign, right? People are going to now muddy that campaign. But here's why I think if you even legislate, against marital rape, it's not going to hurt them because they just were elected, right?
They have the capital to
They have
do
the
it.
capital to do it. So at this time, it's a perfect time to do it. And you're talking about how I'm against marital rape, but you're not doing nothing about it. It's going to be very simple. They don't lose in the end because your test, your exam, is about 5 years out from now. Honestly.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
You have the
I
political
mean,
capital.
it's kind of like what when Voldemort and his crew did, right? They pushed for a bunch of legislation for the people. I mean, Christie them do the same thing when they had their chance. You know, they do the whole thing for stem cell research because that really affects the life of the average Bahamian.
Oh, Keanu, see?
Are they still in operation? When they
I don't know. I don't
run
think
by the NIGARD, or they had some affiliation with NIGARD?
so. They were in Freeport.
Yes.
In that yellow plaza. I used to pass it every day to go to school. But I haven't seen the sign when I was in Freeport for there.
Maybe they went down the same time as Homeboy. I
Probably.
don't know. I would have hoped that it would have been sustainable. I mean, I had hopes for it that it would go somewhere and that people be coming to the Bahamas for stem cell treatment and stuff. But oh Lord, I mean, I listen. Stem cells, like the research and treatments and stuff. Some of them sound pretty sketch, but that's another conversation. Usually, legislation has nothing to do with the average Bahamian. I think this is a clear instance where it can be something that affects the average Bahamian. It is this issue, the issue with immigration, and I'm being very specific when I say immigration. I'm talking about the situations with citizenship passing down and also the rights of parents. Because a father that doesn't marry the mother of his child, listen, it's just absolutely ridiculous that people have to adopt their own biological children. As we unfortunately saw play out with and I'm not trying to piggyback off of this, but just unfortunately saw play out with the situation with Bella, the little girl who passed. Yeah, we ain't even talking with him.
They ain't talking with him.
That's
today.
what's the next name? It was two villains in Harry Potter, Voldemort and the Tormentors or Dementors or something.
I don't
One of them. Abracadabra. I know. It is what it is. But I just say, like, these are easy things to change.
yeah.
Change the law. I think you'll get a lot of support. I think, especially from men, not even just men, fathers, because that's who it actually affects. Should not be in this situation. Also, change up that law on a situation for women who are married, right? Because what depresses me is if Shawnee Miller Obido has a child, that child's going to have some difficulties claiming that Bahamian citizenship again, a Bahamian passport. And that's our Olympian. Just change the law.
Yeah.
If you can change it, change it. If not, just shut up. Go ahead.
So
You text.
we got some texting. This text to text in just like you can on 422-GR96. That is 422-4796. And they said, "Good morning, Don and Tate. I literally cannot wait for Saturdays to hear you. I love how you speak of all subjects and you are very knowledgeable and articulate. I also love how you include jokes into your discussions. Please continue to enlighten us. You may not recognize my number. It's new because the number that I used in the past. The storage is full and I cannot access my text." All right. Thank you
Well,
very
thank
much.
you so
caller.
much,
I appreciate
texter.
that. Texter, sorry, yeah.
Yes. And you know what I learned, Tate? If you don't laugh,
You can cry.
you can cry.
Yeah.
If we legalize weed, this would be a much happier country. You know?
Well, it's
I just segue into
well, it's supposed to be supposedly said by the AG, it's supposed to be coming in quarter one, 2022. But we will see if that happens.
What I say earlier, Tate? Remember when I said they don't legislate for
Yeah.
broke people?
Yeah.
Let me tell you what's gonna happen. Here's my prediction. You already have people who've been lobbying the government from the last administration. I'm not saying this because that's what I think. I'm telling you, just gonna know this for a fact. People have been lobbying government to legalize marijuana in this country. You have people in this country that have already bought land to cultivate.
That ain't the baby been in the show.
It's more than that. No, I don't. No, I don't think so. But no, I'm saying this because I'm saying it isn't even one group that's done this. It's several groups that have been doing this. And here's why I said that they don't legislate for broke people. The regular Bahamian may get access to buying marijuana or cannabis. I prefer to use the term cannabis. Marijuana has a tinge to it.
Yeah, right.
You get access to buying it. If you're lucky, you got some money, some backing, and some connections, you may get a license to have a dispensary. Maybe. Don't count on it. Maybe.
I think when the minister administration was implementing or trying to implement it, the legislation that they brought out, for you to operate in all aspects of the industry, I think you would have to have at least 50K just for the licensing.
Again, few people, but it's more than the other one. Now, to have that license to grow requires you to have land, requires you to have manpower, requires you to have the capital to start that operation up. That is not a $50,000 operation.
Right.
You look at hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars into that side of the business. That is actually where the money is. That is the part that's going to operate like the numbers business. You're going to have a very select number of players that are going to enter that part of the economic situation, probably right behind the government right now, pushing for this legislation. If not now, then later, at least for their part to come into effect. And they're going to be the big boy players. Some of them are not even going to be known to the public. And that's the part I dislike because I know that's going to be a tightly knit community. Now, if there's a twofold problem.
And then
If
we're
it's
going to have a marijuana board, eh? Like the gaming board.
that sound good, eh? Mothers!
The cannabis
board. They probably
cannabis
give it some name. They call it the Drug and Food Administrative Board or something. No, but that'd be a good name, the Drug and Food Board or something. Yeah, we'll probably have something that you're right. And what's going to end up happening with that, Tate, is it's going to be a round table of the brethren. But two ways it could go. Either you have a few players get in at first, then there's a moratorium on it, just like the numbers business. Or you have a few players that get in early and they gobble up all the market share and make it exceptionally difficult for anybody else to enter the operation. And they're going to do anti-competitive practices like having deals and arrangements with different dispensaries to only buy from them. Or they will price anybody else because they already have the capital and they already are in the business. Right. Anybody else that tries to enter this business that doesn't have substantial capital to do so will be priced out of the market. So what you're then going to end up with is the same situation we suffer from in this country. You're going to have not a monopoly, but essentially price fixing. That is a concern I don't think the government really cares about, predominantly because they care about tax revenue and licensing fees. That's it. That's the concern there. Again, I'm not against the legalization of marijuana. It is the economics behind it that I'm skeptical of because I feel within my bones that it's just going to be a further concentration of wealth into the hands of the same people that it's already in.
Right.
Because someplace with you know what the most money in this country is, Tate?
Well,
Someone had to get me hip to this. Steven got me hip to this. All the money in the Bahamas in the ghetto. Want to know why? It's the same reason the wash houses go down. Chinese restaurants.
The bars.
The number house. The bars. All the wealthy of this country, most of them, got businesses in or around lower income neighborhoods.
The inner city, yeah.
You know why? Because that's just spending people. Because they have to spend. They have to consume. So that tells you everything that you need to know about how policy is going to operate. Thusly, that's my position. Do I think we should legalize weed? Yes. I think it's not going to do anything to actually uplift Bahamians. But just saying. I ain't trying to dissuade. Just being real. That look on your face, Tate. Did I just shatter your reality or
No,
something?
no, it's not that. But I'm thinking about actually analyzing it because it's kind of mirroring what we would have seen in the United States, right? The people that would have been arrested or the victims of using marijuana, before it was legalized in some states, were black people or black poor people, right? But then when you come around, right, and you legalize an industry, the people that are now benefiting from it are white rich people. Right?
I don't think it's just white rich people. I think it's from what I've seen from some people who I was told, at least from they telling me that they were lobbying, they weren't all white.
Okay.
It's a smorgasbord of people, but the problem still becomes is like capital still concentrating.
In the hand.
Someone texted in and said land to grow is a fallacy as medical cannabis must be regulated and done in greenhouses. So buying land must be for multiple greenhouses. But see, yes, and see the problem with that. Well, I would say the problem. Texter, I'm not saying that you're wrong. My only thing is that those greenhouse operations aren't necessarily the cheapest things in the universe. I've seen some grow operations out of California which operate out of trailers. Very creative things that people do, but there is substantial upfront cost to getting involved in that side of things. Yes, there's a substantial upfront cost, which then makes it a bit cost prohibitive for some people. Again, I think we should legalize. I just think it should try to make it as fair as possible. That's all. I know it's probably not going to be, but I think some steps should be made that
Right.
it is as fair, that people have equal opportunity. I dare say, if a person from a not so well off financial background wants to get involved in the business, they should be able to write up a business plan, go to the SBDC, get a grant from the government, and start a dispensary or something, or whatever it is they want to do. I'm just saying, it just should be something that's open and available, all sides of this business to anybody, as long as they can prove themselves to be competitive and innovative. That's it. But if not, you're going to end up with a monopoly.
I don't know if I have hope in the current administration to avoid the trappings or the effects of what happened under the gaming system, right? I don't have hope under this administration. And looking at the previous bill,
What does the gaming board even do? No, I mean like, I don't mean like what they do in general, like from day to day. Anyway, that's not important.
That's a good
I'm
question.
not doubting that they're
I
relevant.
feel as though
but-
we should get rid of a bunch of boards in this country that makes no sense. Like I saw a picture of the National Insurance Board, the new board, and that board looks huge. And then the chairman, I understand they are locked in a deal with the current chairman.
under the last
Director,
administration.
Yeah, under the last administration, the director,
Yeah, yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
Contract.
we need to get rid of some of these boards and these authorities, in my opinion. But I'm not confident in the upcoming legislation for that, because looking at the last administration under the PLP and what they did with the gaming board or the gaming system, I don't think it's going to be very much different. Then it's not going to be beneficial to regular Bahamians or poor Bahamians or regular Bahamians like you and I. It's not going to be beneficial to us, I think.
No.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is though, Tate. Well, it starts off with medical for us, and I think at some point in time we'll eventually get off into the section of recreational. I think there should be licenses. Sorry, you should have a card to buy, not just medical, but even recreational, because you should not be able to just walk into a place and just buy from this dispensary, buy for now, buy for now. Like it should be. We should know who's buying, how much you're buying. We also get to rate consumer trends to see like, well, individuals from this neighborhood buy like. We're not doing this for nefarious purposes to collecting data. I just mean you should collect data in general. If there are instances of these things getting in the hands of children in certain households, we should be able to track to see, well, who has a medical marijuana card or a recreational marijuana card, either in the house or in the neighborhood. Not saying that you should blame those people, but I'm just saying for tracing purposes and safety. But then you can also argue we don't do that with alcohol, right? But then again, are students really taking alcoholic beverages to school in high school?
I've seen personal instances.
No, I've seen a lot of that
Bias,
in in a university. But anyway, whatever. I don't know. Just a suggestion. We don't have to do that. We have a text. I take it.
Yes, so this person said they texted in just like you can at 422-4796. That is 422-4796. And they said, the truth is, most regulations tend to involve a heavy financial component directly or indirectly. It is too early to regulate it. Make it illegal, then make the regulations as the industry involves. And they also said, why are people making marijuana so complex? Treat it like alcohol.
See, that's the thing, though.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with the text. There's various ways you could go about approaching this situation, right? Because we have lots of regulatory regimes to look at across the United States, Canada, Europe, South America, even at this point. There's a lot of different ways we could look at this. I do not know currently. Have you seen anything? Any drafts from this administration?
No.
I know the Minis administration had
and I hated that.
They had a different approach.
Hated that.
So again, I don't know how the approach is going to be, but I do suspect. Again, my only concern is I'm not against it. My only concern is I just want it to be fair, and leave room for innovation and competition. Because when you don't have those things, you end up with most things that we have in the Bahamas, where it's like a few. What's like 2 companies that import all the food for this country? Two companies. That's scary to me. I'm just saying. That's a little terrifying.
I agree.
Because it used to be more than that. It used to be like 4 or 5. It's 2.
My dad owns a grocery shop, and it's insane. You have the same people coming in to deliver us certain food products every week, and it doesn't change. And it's like that in Grand Bahama, so I can imagine how bad it is in over here in Nassau.
But most of us don't get to see that side of the business unless you work there. Yeah. Predominantly because we got like 2 companies that own all the stores, right? Or is it 3? Because I know that Super Value, we used to have City Markets once upon a time.
You got
no longer
AML and Solomon's. Eh?
Yeah, it's almost like a conglomerate of companies, and Super Value has some things. I think they will also. I think they have Extra Value under their belt as well. So it's quite a number of things. We have a lot of conglomeration and concentration in New Providence. Well, in the country and in general. I know Abacoa, they hold old situation too, but that's not a story. So we're going to cut to a quick break. My producer signaling me and saying, we got to cut to the little thing. We should have a guest that's going to be coming on shortly. Talk to us about some great tints. So stay right here on the Eye Opener for your daily dose of something different.
Wait, find what you love and let it kill you. Sharp under pressure, thick and diamond. All eyes on me like a conductor. That means just play your role, you might get chime in. Wait, play the game to change the game. Word to Gooch, that's my hitter. Your wave is living in the moment, huh? My wave is living for I know what I'm doing.
Look at today. Workout, breakfast, drop kids at school, back-to-back meetings, dog from the groomer, nails. And that's all before 12. How come you're so chill?
That's because my money is as busy as you.
At RF, we find the best Bahamian and international investments to keep your money busy so you can spend more time focusing on you. Contact us at rfgroup.com to find out more. RF, money at work.
Helping out each other, family and everybody. It's a simple act of kindness with you, me, and RBC.
RBC wants to spread acts of kindness during this festive season. One simple act of kindness for our friends, co-workers, and communities can cause the brightest smile. Help a stranger, give a food basket, or call an elderly person. Share your stories at facebook.com/RBC Caribbean.
Acts of kindness, RBC.
The novel coronavirus disease, now called COVID-19, is a new strain of coronavirus that has not infected humans before. Symptoms include cough, fever, sore throat, breathing problems, and shortness of breath. After a person has been exposed to COVID-19, symptoms can appear between 2 to 14 days later. Severe cases can lead to pneumonia, severe respiratory syndrome, kidney failure, or even death. The virus is transmitted after being in close contact with an infected person. To prevent the spread of a respiratory illness like COVID-19, wash your hands for at least 20 seconds with soap and water. Rinse, then dry. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, or mouth unnecessarily, especially if your hands are not washed. Cover your mouth and nose with your inner elbow or tissue when you cough or sneeze. Avoid close contact with persons who are infected or have symptoms such as coughing or sneezing. Clean and disinfect surfaces at home and at work. There are no medications to treat the coronavirus. Practice preventative measures to ensure that you and your family are safe.
This message brought to you by Bahamas Ministry of Health in conjunction with Guardian Radio.
There it is.
Wait, find what you love and let it kill you. Sharp under pressure, thinking diamond. All eyes on me like a conductor. That means just play your role, you might could chime in. Wait, play the game to change the game. Word to Gooch, that's my hitter. Your wave is living in the moment, My wave is living for me. I know what I'm doing. Yeah, I know what I'm doing, baby. Say I know what I'm doing. You're talking about a revolution.
There it is.
Wait.
There it is.
Wait.
There it is.
Wait. On the road with Clay. Even when I'm on the fire, I'll never settle. I'm too stubborn, boy. But I ain't out of touch. I'm just I know what I'm doing. Yeah, I know what I'm doing, baby. Yeah, I know what I'm doing. Yeah. You're talking about a revolution.
There it is.
Wait.
And welcome back to the Eye Opener, your weekly dose. I said daily before the break, but it's weekly. We should be daily. Dwight. just
Overlord Dwight.
Overlord Dwight, the senior man in charge, boss man, emperor forever. Just wake it out, man. Wake she out. Welcome back, Tate. How are you?
I am good, man. I am good.
Tate went for a quick jog.
Yeah.
Right before we took a commercial break. I'd say stay in shape because in Freeport, they have nothing but road. They're used to that. So
roads with no potholes. Make sure you see
that's
that
right.
part.
They don't have as many potholes.
We don't have.
Yes, we don't have potholes in Nassau though. We have craters. Craters and what else we have in Nassau? Craters and chasms.
Recurrent power outages too.
No, I know what the word is. Blue holes. When it rains and you can't see the pothole, and you thinking to yourself, "Boy, if I just drive a little slow, I can be fine." And then you keep driving a little slow, especially when you go on what neighborhood that is now, Pinewood. When you go on that road, but it happened to me. You go to the road in Pinewood, all you hear is you know what happened after that? You get a flat tire, and you can't even check it flat tire because your car flood. So you got to keep going. All you hear is I'm saying it because it happened to me before. It's happened to several people. What you just have to do when you're driving on these roads is you watch where the fella in front of you going. So if he fall in the hole, you know you got to turn. And I do that before. I watch him fall in the hole and I say, I ain't going to go in that hole. I can turn. And I fall in another hole. So I was like, see, you can't win. You know what that is? That's VAT. I just described VAT to everybody. You can't duck it. Because you think you're winning, but you're really losing.
It's 10% now, and you should be happy for that. You should be very happy for that.
I'm happy to ever pay tax. Taxation is theft. I'm kidding. So we have a special guest on. She's been on the show before. She's a friend of the show.
Right.
Her and I can say that. I can't say that.
Say what?
That y'all just do work.
Yeah.
Take this do things there too. You know what I'm saying? We have Vanessa Clark from the organization. I have to say it properly. The Organization for Responsible Government. Now,
Governance.
Oh my God, governance.
Yes.
Governance. I gotta use that. Governance, man.
You put on a full accent to get it wrong.
That's the Bahamian way. You gotta put on a British accent when you go in for your job interview. So they'd be like, wow, he's really educated. You never did it before? See, that's why you can't get no good government job. I see you got them board appointments. I'm getting off. So I know you guys are doing a whole thing with the National Integrity Campaign, which kind of ties in with everything we've been talking about on the show today. Now you would come on before talked about like this whole thing about a rate. Or was that you guys? Or did I see it on Facebook? This whole thing about rate your government services. And
you mean the Citizen Charter?
Yes. I love that. Because I was like, everything's going to be, except maybe sometimes the passport office is really good. Sometimes
all of the agencies that we studied, we just found that
they all have.
They sucked, essentially.
No, man. The government of the Bahamas loves us. I can see it on Vanessa's face. You can feel the love. Can you feel the love? Oh, they all suck. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I know. Because they have challenges.
That's the more political.
I think there have been has been improvement.
Keeping my work hat on. They are
the challenge.
There are challenges. They are working towards
a more inclusive work environment.
Well, they're working to correct and course correct some things. But what you find with every government that comes into power, you walk in with hopes and dreams and expectations, and you come in and what you meet, what your reality is completely not what you would have expected.
That, you know what that just described? Dating a Freeport woman.
I have no comments.
None of my friends that have ever.
For 3 months of my life.
None of my friends that have ever dated a woman from Freeport ever come out the same afterwards. So, I ain't saying nothing wrong with a Freeport woman. They ain't like, I just woman who can't cook. But my grandma from Anjou, she can cook. So there's exceptions to the rule, right? Why? Because people from my family from Andres too. I can say that. They from Mangrove Key, man. The Bodis, them. They from Andres. They can cook. I don't know why. Why Tate dive his hand in his phone? There's things they say. People from Cat Islanders eat donkey. Oh no, y'all don't look at me like this now.
Don, I don't know.
No, I jump off the cliff by myself then. All right? Fine. There's eat flamingo and agua. I said, I talking all the business. That's fine. Long Island is a story about that too, but I can leave it alone because it's come for you. Long Island people is come for you. Don't do it. Just don't do it. No. If she read, better be scared. Anyway, moving on. Back about the integrity campaign. Yes. I have a question about that. Well, I guess I can't ask that question. So let me rephrase that. What were you guys' expectations with this? Are you finding a lot of people are participating in these programs? Are citizens excited about it?
When it comes to integrity, the campaign and what we're actually encouraging people to do, which is do the right thing, even when no one is watching. We're finding that in theory, a lot of people are on board. Practically, there are some people who are actually willing to get on board and encourage other people to be on board. Reality speaking, there are a lot of people who are saying it's an uphill climb. So we started out with great expectations, and now we are managing those expectations and realizing that the integrity campaign is in fact a seed. It's a seed that we're planting. And it's a seed that we hope the country at large will embrace and begin to nurture over a period of time. I just came back from Abaco on Monday. We had a great conversation with the Abaco Chamber of Commerce. And we did a wonderful presentation on the integrity campaign to them. They are very receptive to it. They actually asked us to come on to be partners with it, and they're going to help spread the message about integrity and doing the right thing, even when no one is watching, on their island, because we can't be in all places at all times. However, they also expressed the challenges, and that was something that I personally did not take into account. The Bahamas is very unique in how it's situated and how it's set up. We are an archipelago of islands. We're not just one big landmass like Jamaica or Cuba or Barbados or Bermuda. So you have a country where we're trying to do a one-size-fits-all situation when it comes to everything, and that doesn't include government. But the reality is, one size does not fit all. Abaco is different from Grand Bahama, which is different from Nassau, which is different from Eleuthera, which is different from Long Island. And so they all have their unique situations. And getting some services,
It's challenging.
It's challenging because you have to wait for someone to come and deal with stuff. And so I brought up the question of how many people has ever given a bribe, and that turned into what was supposed to be a half-hour conversation turned into a 2.5 hour. What was supposed to be a half-hour presentation turned into a 2.5 hour conversation about understanding the nuances of what happens on Family Island.
I'm sure they told you it wasn't a bribe; it was the cost of doing business.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I know people from Abaco; they pretty real about it.
But at the same time, it's a reality that is not that's not uncommon. It's not unique and only unique to Abaco. Abaco is also in a very, very unique situation after having sustained, I don't know how much. Abaco is hauntingly beautiful right now. I have never been there before.
Oh, wow.
So I have no point of reference of what Abaco looked like prior to Hurricane Dorian. But coming from the airport, you see 30 miles of death, which is, when you consider 20 to 30 feet of surge of seawater coming in and settling in for months across what was once a lush pine forest, you now just have dead tree stumps. And that's one graveyard that is potentially a now environmental hazard, because if something catches a fire,
As it does, actually. You always have to.
They
have fires in the summertime.
You also have vehicle graveyards. Hundreds of cars that look almost pristine are lined up on the streets.
And they don't work?
They've been written off by the insurance companies.
Jesus.
Because that's how much water they've sustained. They're filled with gas, but the gas is also contaminated by seawater. So you can't
That's
use
a
them.
write-off. That's a write-off.
They're all written off. But there's nowhere again to dispose of them.
Right.
So it's a unique situation that we can't in New Providence say, oh well, this is something that I can't go and say, talk about the integrity campaign when these people didn't have power for a year.
True.
It's a different. So we're finding that you have to tailor everything to each island.
I think that's the smart thing. Well, you guys have a lot of partners you could work with in some places. I think
we are that's what we're looking for. We're looking for, and that's what the Abaco Chamber came on with. Even with all of their issues, with all of their challenges, they were still very encouraged by the fact that we were doing the integrity campaign, and encouraged by the concept of having people do the right thing.
What about Eleuthera? Have you guys gotten in contact with one Eleuthera?
We are actually in partnership with One Eleuthera right now for the CSO survey. And One Eleuthera and Intelkey, they are working feverishly to get all civil society organizations on board to do a survey, just so we can know exactly who exists in the country and what they do, what their services are, because we don't have a database like that is of public knowledge.
No, there isn't. There's not.
Right.
I don't know why he's trying to be specific. it isn't as extensive as it should be. I know attempts were made in the past to create one.
Yeah.
I know the Department of Labor was doing something, but we're all challenged. Like you said, the Archipelagic Nation. What about Exuma? I know there's the Exuma Foundation. Now, I ain't trying to say you need to go. And some suggestions,
No. We actually reached out to Exuma. And we actually had a conversation with the Exuma Chamber of Commerce.
Great.
And we are still trying to work on that partnership as well. So yeah, the integrity campaign, our goal is to we have the assets, we have the information that we want to disseminate. Our goal is to try to get
Tailor it, yeah.
as many people involved as possible. So what started as a 2.5-month campaign, we
It's
will
permanent.
see it go.
It's permanent.
Right. It's not going to go.
This ain't yours no more.
Yeah. It's and that's the hope.
That's encouraging though.
The
That's
hope-
really
the hope-
encouraging.
yeah, the goal is never for it to remain orgs. It's something that org started, but it's not something that org can accomplish on its own.
Here's a suggestion.
Yep.
Probably shouldn't say this, but I can say it anyway. It should kind of be like, in my opinion, like a Yelp for services. So, for instance, if I go to the airport and I lose like what 4 airports. Let's say I just go to an airport and we talk about needs. They need some money in some of the airports. That's a whole other conversation about it. But I mean, like all government services. So if I go to LPIA, for instance, I should be able to rate the quality of service or whatever. Because it isn't just government, but it's a company operating on behalf of the government to upkeep a public good, which is the airport. I'm sure it gets very, very complicated.
Some airports are private though.
Some are, yes.
Yeah.
I think LPIA.
They're not all government owned.
Yes, true.
Yeah.
Well, the one in Freeport, we'll see. We'll see. Here's hoping, because they bought it for $1. Here's to hoping that something comes out of that. I really wish that Freeport was like the hub, because it just has all the space it needs to have a big airport within the port. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation about. I love Freeport. I just really hate what's happened to Freeport and the situation with the port. But go ahead.
I think all islands can be their own hub. They all have something different to offer. I see what I think everybody sees Grand Bahama to be, which is very industrial.
I think being Freeport, and everybody in the Bahamas should travel to Freeport to go shopping instead of going to the States.
Amazon?
Whatever,
Well,
bro.
I mean,
It should be tax free.
Aeropost,
Aeropost.
No.
Sabaz being the next Jeff Bezos.
Well, you know what? I'll say this. If it's a situation where they are able to strike up some agreement with the government of the Bahamas as well as the port, and we can shop there very close to America's prices, and it's a Bahamian-owned enterprise, I think it should be something to encourage people to stay in the country and shop. So we ship in stuff from Freeport and disseminate it to the rest of the country. Keep money flowing into Freeport. That's the hope. I know it ain't gonna happen, but I'm just saying. I would love for that to be the case, rather than, but you go to Miami, so you go shopping, and then you come back with 13 suitcase.
I've never understood the 13 suitcase.
Wait, and they just be big.
I've never understood it.
They just be the size of humans. I saw a lady, I swear to you, I thought it was a refrigerator. How big that suitcase was. It was taller than her. I was like, where do you buy that? That you could fit like bodies in this suitcase?
Flea market. You go to Lejeune Road.
This in Miami?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Miami?
Yeah.
I hate
you get
Miami.
whatever size.
I hate Miami.
Now that I think about
with a
it,
passion.
my family and I, when we were all together, we used to do this thing whereas we would go on vacation every summer and we would buy up a lot of stuff from the States and then come back with like a crate of stuff, like a big crate of stuff, and then import it back into Freeport.
Yes, that's normal.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't, we shouldn't.
When I was younger, and then again, I come from a very big family. So there would be like 14, 15 of us.
That's a
traveling.
container.
And
Yo, Bakesy bringing a container.
All the kids would have backpacks. You know, all the adult women would have purses.
Right.
And really and truly, we would be coming back.
Smuggling.
Everybody had 2 suitcases.
All their pockets weighed on.
So
all inside their shoe and
all of the passports would be handed over.
Yes.
So by the
Yes.
time as the customs officer look at it, she's like, okay, exemption for
You're all mules.
Exactly.
All mules toting things. where times today?
and that wasn't even the 2 pallets that came on the boat.
See,
on
bomb.
the airboat or the Betty K, you know, because that came after.
I'll say it survived though, because
So-
things were
too expensive.
gosh darn expensive.
That's why people took kids with them on trips.
That's extra luggage and bodies.
But that's exemptions.
Sure, you can get exemption too.
Yes, anybody with a Bahamian passport gets $500 exemption twice a year. So if you take
Oh, I thought it was adults. Oh,
no, It's everybody with a passport. That is why you see so many people carrying kids.
Gotta do the Birdman hand rub. Like this is another Lil Wayne album coming out. All right, I see. See, that's where integrity comes in, right? You should pay your taxes. You know, you shouldn't avoid.
If you carry 13 people with you, technically,
I love that look on her face. She's just like, listen, that's the right thing. We declare. But now you got to collect that's another conversation. Listen, whatever. I've had an experience with that. The whole customs when you come back in the country, it kind of was a nightmare experience. The same as some people have a nightmare experience with the health visa. I don't know how the health visas work.
I've never had a nightmare experience with either of those.
Oh wow, must be nice. I know somebody who put in there 2 people, 3 people, 4 people. They don't know each other. Really random different people. They put in for the health visa and just never got a response.
Really?
Yes.
I've always gotten my response.
And they got stuck in the airport. Well, 4 of them on different occasions.
Within 24 hours, I get my response.
Well, I did it at midnight before when I was in Orlando, and it just went through.
Even on the weekend.
I think that was an incredibly unnecessary thing to me.
Well, I was boy subs, so I remember.
Well, now you don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's real?
Yeah, it's free.
I was in July.
You
I
still
was in the
still have
States.
to register for it.
Oh no! If you get vaccine, you don't have to pay for it at one point in time, eh? You still had to get tested.
No, you still had to get tested.
Yeah.
So you still had to pay for it, even if you were vaccinated. But now you don't have to pay for it at all.
I lied, and people, I tell them I'm from Nassau, you know. Not from Nassau, I'm from the States. They just want to see your information. I was like, no, I don't have my ID on me. And I blocked it. It was like, oh yeah, you ain't got the ID on me. And I was just like, yeah, man. But on my most American accent, talk what I finna. And I got the PCR test for free, King. You know what's PCR cost in Nassau?
We did the same thing when I was in
$22.40.
Bro, that's the cheap one?
Yeah.
Some of them was over $200.
A PCR?
Yes.
Okay. Doctor's Hospital.
Listen.
And the place downtown, 2 doors down from McDonald's.
Yes, they are. They're the cheapest rapid antigen test for
They're
$20, $22.
It's $22.40.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's why I got mine.
Yeah.
When I left.
Well, when I was sick with COVID, I had the PCR test.
And you get your results back in 2.5 hours.
Doctor's Hospital is very good, though. I will say that.
Yeah. Of course, they're very good.
Another lab,
and you better pay them too.
I hate.
And the one on Blake Road, they
no,
also
they're expensive.
for the PCR. It was $20 when I did it last year.
PCR.
Yeah. No. Sorry for the rapid antigen.
Oh.
For the rapid antigen.
They just bring on the cutlass for the PCR. I know. I don't know about that. It's like no, you can pay. I be almost out of time. But yeah, if you just to let you know, for those of you who haven't traveled, you can go to any of the CDC locations because you know they have something we don't have in the Bahamas yet. Something called free testing. So you can get your nice PCR test where they go to your nose. And you get a rapid antigen, whatever you want. Just make sure you do your whole registration thing and you tell them you're born there or something like that. I ain't telling you to lie, but I telling you don't tell the truth. And you get straight and you ain't got to pay. But in the Bahamas, you can pay. If you can pay. One thing they can say is, boy, you can pay.
So before we go, the Integrity Campaign,
yes.
We actually have a video essay competition. Question is, what does integrity mean to me? Anyone can enter. And we actually have a prize, which is a free iPad.
iPad Mini, iPad Pro, iPad 1. There's plenty of them now. I don't know. I asked it.
It's an Apple product, which means it's more expensive than anything that I have in my house.
Cool, money.
So
yes.
I feel like
things. You can win things.
You can win things.
How do people enter for the Integrity essay competition?
We have it online.
On the Facebook page.
On our Facebook page. All the information.
We need to probably share it from our page so you guys can check out the Eye Opener on Facebook. We'll share that so you get to see it if you want to enter the essay competition.
Yeah.
And enter your child so y'all can win one thing.
Yeah, children
your children's.
Definitely encouraged.
You could just like the customs exemption thing, you could enter each individual children. And enter multiple times and increase your chances of winning.
And also a plug here for the civil society survey. Anyone who is a part of a civil society organization, non-profit, not-for-profit, faith-based, anyone who's dealing with that stuff, please go to https:// /intelkey.info/CSO mapping 2021. We also have those flyers up on all of our sites, our social media pages, and take the survey so you can help us.
Send
help
it to
you.
us, or send me it so people can see it. And that's a survey you said for civil society organizations.
Yeah, anybody who's dealing with nonprofit or not-for-profit faith-based organizations. Yeah.
Great. We have some text. I want them people to be heard because they won't voice their head off.
Yep. And so this person said, I believe special interest groups are trying to lock down the marijuana market using government powers while making the people believe the process was fair, similar to what they did with the number guys. Fair point. Texter. This another texter said, I am an older man and I'm very proud of the discussion from your show. I want to know your ages. Okay. Your academic qualifications, and if you're bold enough to take your positions from behind the microphone.
Take our positions from behind the microphone?
No, I mean, take our positions from behind the microphone. It sounds like someone is offering something. I don't know.
Okay. Well, Tate, how old are you?
Yeah, I am 21.
Tate is 21. See, whoa, really?
Yeah.
He's 22.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm
I
old.
turned 22 like a couple days.
My birthday was, 2 days ago? I turned the ripe old age of 29.
I can't with you guys.
I got 2 gray hairs in my beard now. I'm getting old.
Older than Tate.
Tate is actually pursuing a degree, I think, in public policy.
Public policy, public administration.
Which
in a
is,
sense,
I shouldn't say it. I don't take that, no. Which is equivalent in the Bahamas to, I don't know what you're doing government with that. But the government's looking at you and was like, wow, that's great. You can answer phones for us.
And that's why I'm afraid of the civil service.
But that's fine, because there's things bigger than government. Mine is what? Media journalism. My bachelor's, my master's is in global diplomacy, specifically looking at Chinese diplomacy and American foreign policy. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation because no one cares about that, right? That's not important in the Bahamas. We don't do policy in foreign policy here. Anyway, any more text, Tate?
But we have a whole Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
You would think, eh?
And so this person said, this is for Vanessa, I think. Integrity has to be a way of life in order for people to live by it. Nothing in a society promotes integrity, not politics, not religion. We are a society where sweethearting and gossiping are their favorite pastimes. Integrity will have to become a subject in schools before it can begin to take root.
Oh my God.
I'm not going to go into the political and religious aspects of it, but I do agree that it needs to be something that's a part of everyday life. I do agree that it's something that children need to learn about. If we don't, I feel like kids are the gateway to adults.
Children is the future.
You know, if you can put any commercial you want on television and put anything you want out there in the newspapers. Parents won't pay attention to it. Adults won't pay attention to it until kids start paying attention to it. And then they will nag them, you know? And
like Baby Shark. Oh God. Do, my boy. Cool. But I like that.
I like
that
the
texter
essence of that text.
Right. That text is that person is after my heart.
Agree. Yeah.
Because they are, as we call on these streets, spitting the facts.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're unfortunately out of time. I'm sorry. I just wanted to say to that texter. I don't know. That sounds like something I would write.
Again, it's a seed.
Yeah.
It's a seed. This campaign can't be it's not a fix-all.
Right.
No.
It's a mammoth task to get all Bahamians on board with something like this.
And something I got to
It's
say to
gonna have
that.
be in increments.
I like the fact that it's about getting Bahamians to do things, like focusing on the people
Yeah.
rather than personalities and a person
Yeah.
or a character.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think the solution for the Bahamas is not to be in search of the next Black Moses or the next baby daddy. I think the objective of the Bahamas is for the people, the human capital that we have, to be the things that drive forth change, which
Yeah.
is something that, quite frankly, has not been the norm in this country. It happened at certain pivotal points in our history, but through the long stretch, which is only, 40-something years of our independence, the drivers of change have not necessarily been the public. But we can change that.
Yeah.
You know why? Because we're out of time now. Because many hands, said me not Tate, build a
school.
Cool. Many hearts. Build a
community.
Okay, I like that. I like that. But you know what it takes, Vanessa? It takes many engaged Bahamians like me, you, Tate, That text who talk about integrity. Come on, that text speak to me so loud just now. These fellas don't care. You gotta make them care. You know why? You gotta spank their hands. Shoot they churn. Get the churn to say it.
Right.
Because when the churn saying, Daddy, you shouldn't be doing that. Daddy, I see you by that woman house. Mommy, that money is supposed to be coming here. Or Mommy, you know you should have get that money back. Right? That's how you get people conscious. You start with the churn them.
Cut the conversation.
Be good, Bahamas.
Yeah.
Your wave is living in the moment, huh? My wave is living for me. I know what I'm doing. Yeah, I know what I'm doing, baby. Say I know what I'm doing. You talk about a revolution.
There it is.